So guys, I really feel like this was the best combat update we've gotten yet for Ashes of Creation, and I liked all the other ones as well, but this one to me was really, really good and really well done, and we saw a lot of skills, we saw a lot of synergies, we saw multiple different synergies, we saw synergies between different elemental schools, we saw synergies within one element. I'm going to get into all of that, and also, I have some things at the end of the video. You might have noticed some fire spells on the toolbar, and an earth spell in the toolbar, and then another arcane spell on the toolbar, and I got all those tooltips. Somehow, some way, I was able to find them all and get them for you, and I'm going to show you guys those spells as well. Obviously not the actual spell because they never used them, but the tooltip. So to start out, they were in an area called the Hall of Adjudication, which is an alien prison trial location where they kept criminals for court, and again, they were level 15. And I'm going to go through the skills in order that they appeared on the toolbars. So the number one skill on the toolbar was called Blink, and this was the one skill that was exactly how it was basically in Alpha 1. And basically it's just like any old Mage Blink in pretty much any MMO, and exactly how it was back in Alpha 1. The skill on the 2 key was Frostbolt, cost 20 mana, had a 40-meter range, launched a bolt of frost, and applied 2 chilled stacks, and we're going to talk about some of these status effects, at least the ones they explain to us later on. The third skill was called Lightning Strike. With this skill you could charge it up to do more damage, but you could cast it for a shorter amount of time in order to just apply the status effect if you wanted. Lightning Strike is one of the skills that applies Electrified to a target. Once hitting 10 stacks of Electrified, enemy mobs get the shocked status effect. And when you hit enemies with damage that have the shocked effect on them, they take additional damage. The fourth skill was Arcane Volley. This has a 40-meter range and fires a volley of arcane missiles at your target, dealing arcane damage with each hit. Notably, they did explain that this skill does not fall into any of the elemental schools. It's kind of an off-elemental school skill. But it does have good synergies with the shocked status effect that I explained before. The fifth skill was called Blizzard. This skill channeled a massive blizzard around you, raining a barrage of hail shards upon your enemies while channeling. So it's very similar to the Blizzard spell in World of Warcraft, except it's a PBAOE spell. Then on the 8th key, because they did not show the 6 or 7 keys skills in game, you had Elemental Empowerment. Now this was just a simple buff, and it seemed to have a very long duration. And what this does is when you cast any elemental spell, which again, Arcane Volley does not count, but either the Blizzard or the Lightning or the Fire or Earth spells, if you would cast those, then your weapon attacks will now apply the corresponding elemental status effect to target's hit. So the way they demonstrated this, and a good use case for this, was to quickly apply Shocked to your target using the wand, and then you have the extra damage. Another way you can use it is to quickly apply the Frozen debuff, and then once a target is frozen, you can shift to lightning spells and trigger the Shattered condition, and Shattered does a large amount of damage. The next spell, which was on the Shift and 1 key, was called Shell, and this is just a simple damage absorption shield. Shift plus 2 was Cone of Cold, very similar to the WoW Cone of Cold. Deals damage, applies chilled. If you can get enough stacks of chilled on a target, they will become frozen, and then you can cast lightning, as I said earlier, and get the Shattered effect. Shift 3 was Chain Lightning. This is a very cool spell that could go around targets and hit multiple targets. It can chain to multiple targets and applies 3 stacks of Electrified to each target hit. The Shift plus 4 was Ball Lightning, a slow moving ball that did damage in front of the players in the line that they cast it. And again, it applies Electrified stacks. Shift plus 5 was Slumber. It's just an AoE sleep spell. And now I'm going to talk about the skills that you guys did not see in game, that they did not show off. So on the 6th key we had Magma Field, which you can see the tooltip here. The 7th key we had Fissure, which was an earth spell. You can see the tooltip here. And then Fireball on Shift plus 6, Meteor on Shift plus 7, and Arcane Empowerment on Shift plus 8. And then they showed off the gliding, and it looks like you can glide a pretty good distance. In the Q&A section, I only found 2 questions and answers interesting. I'll play the first one for you. It's about resurrections.
Will we have items that let us resurrect other players? Oh yes, yeah. There will be scrolls of resurrection available. Although is an element of resurrection that's important as it relates to experience debt, and being able to recover portions of that experience debt when utilizing higher grade resurrections that are only available from classes. And then there are lower grade resurrections which could be granted through items like scrolls of resurrection, that allows for parties who may not have access to a resurrection class be able to continue on, but it will be at a deficit.
All right.
And then the second one here was about caravans and them being able to be slowed.
Does a caravan stop moving or slow down when it's attacked?
There are certain attacks that can slow the caravan, but basic attacks will not slow a caravan, no.
So you can try to trudge through while you're taking two.
Yeah, they're that's
Keep
correct.
moving.
Yeah.
Run.
Well, and to that point, right, caravan speeds are
Yeah.
built around character speeds, so that the interaction and interval of distance traveled by a caravan versus when players are attacking it is somewhat equitable. But there are certain types of items that you can use that can slow and or block caravans from a collision perspective. There are certain abilities and or status conditions that can get applied to caravans which reduce. There's damage that can be done to components of caravans which reduce speed. There's lots of different ways to affect that.
And both of these I felt were something that we didn't know yet, so that's why I showed those for you guys. The rest of them were all things that if you've been following the project, you should already know. And with that, guys, that's all I had. It was a great update, in my opinion. With that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.